So we were just talking about your childhood
Yeah.
and your experience when you were 5
Mm-hmm.
and how much you loved to play baseball. And you had been waiting
Yeah.
two
I've been
years
waiting. Yeah.
to get to, like from age 3 to 5 to get to play baseball.
Yeah. And I don't remember the exact ages of this, but I know that I was waiting and I was going to the baseball field and watching other people play, and I was just waiting for my turn. And I was like, I remember my friends were all, boys at the time, and we were all talking about it. Like, next year we'll be able to play baseball. Well, T-ball. Next year we'll be playing T-ball. Next year we'll be playing T-ball. And then it came time to sign up, and my parents took me down there to sign me up. And they were like, she can't play baseball. She's a girl. We don't accept girls. I grew up in Virginia. And it was just shocking to me. Shocking. And so my parents tried really hard to get me signed up, but it was impossible. And so they signed me up for soccer instead of a sport of which I'd never heard of or seen nor cared about.
And you loved baseball, and you didn't get to play baseball.
And I loved baseball, and I still am angry at baseball for this. And I'll never recover. And I do love soccer now, and I watch international soccer more. I don't care about baseball because it just reminds me of what I went through.
It soured you.
It soured me
on baseball.
Yeah.
And that was just one of so many experiences.
Yeah, I feel like over and over and over again, the clothes I wanted to wear, the way I wanted to sit, the way I wanted to be, it was just never allowed. And it was always pointed out, well, it's because you're not a boy. So I think that it would be very difficult to grow up in this environment without wanting to be a boy. It would just be, very difficult, because every time I wanted something, I was told, you can't have that unless you were a boy. Now, if you were a boy, you could have that, but you're a girl. You can't have that. So, of course, I would want to be a boy.
Of course.
I mean, that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, right, right. And then I imagine that you were basically told the same thing around relationships with girls.
Yeah, I definitely
like you couldn't have that.
Liked girls really young, and I didn't think anything sexual because I was just a child, but I just romantically knew I liked girls, and I knew that I knew that, and girls liked me, frankly.
Of course they did.
I even had a girlfriend in kindergarten. She thought I was a boy because my parents would let me wear, my parents were really cool, and they let me wear boys' clothes, and they let me get a haircut at the barbershop. So a lot of people did think I was a boy, even though I told them I was a girl. They did not believe me. And there were lots of girls who they just thought I was a boy, and if I said I was a girl, they were like, why are you kidding around? They thought I was joking. And I did have kind of a jokester personality, so it wasn't crazy that I would probably say it was kind of within character to be like that, to be like crazy, like, I'm a girl, when they're like, obviously you're not a girl. So people didn't believe me. So I did pass as a boy a lot, and I did have a girlfriend. But I had really bad nightmares because I was like, I gotta really tell her that I'm a girl because she doesn't believe me, and it's a really big deal because her family was really Christian, and I was walking her home from like the bus stop and carrying her books.
How old were you?
It was kindergarten.
Oh.
And or maybe like first grade or something.
But you sort of knew the relationship was based on this false premise.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. Now, what exact age was I? Probably kindergarten, first grade. Very young. Yeah, it wasn't. It was just ridiculous. Like girlfriend. And I just remember we got off the bus. I would walk. And there were two ways that people carried books. The girl way. Do you remember this?
No.
Girls hold their books like one way, and boys held their books a different way. And I held my books the boys' way.
Of course you did.
So, of course, I was a boy, right? I don't know. So, anyway, I carried her books the boys' way to her house. And her parents loved me, and she loved me, or liked me or whatever. Nothing ever happened. No kisses on the cheek or anything like that. But just walked her home from the bus, carry her books, goodbye. That was it, But, and she lived, right on the same block, so it was really no big deal. And I'm sure that parents saw this, because, I'm sure we weren't. Anyway, I felt really guilty, had nightmares. So I did tell her, and she didn't believe me. And it was just a drama. But, yeah, I knew that it was not. So, yeah, so that was another big thing. Couldn't have, because I wasn't a boy. Yeah.
Yeah. You were telling me earlier about your grandmother basically saying, that you weren't going to get to have love and marriage. And...
Yeah, she said, the way your parents are raising you, I disagree with it, she said. They're not doing you any favors, basically. Letting me wear boys' clothes, letting me have boys' haircut, letting me wear baseball hats everywhere. She's like, this isn't going to work out for you. She did recognize, she's like, she did tell me that there were alternatives, to marriage. That you could be
you could have
an adventurer, you could be an adventurer. You could be someone who, she said, you could be famous. I think she had a list of famous women. And she said a lot of these women weren't married, and that you could do something like that. Have a big life. But, you wouldn't have love or a marriage or children or any of that. And I didn't want children, so that was fine. But I was like, I don't know, Grandma, about love. But I knew that I didn't want to marry any boys, so that was, kind of okay with me. But it did leave me with a big question mark. How is that going to work out? I did believe her.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that is not true.
Yeah.
And that she was wrong.
She'd probably be happy about that, too. Although she'd worry about us in the afterlife.